Yeah, I'm hauling this to toss it back in the bushes. And as I was hauling it, I just noticed as the sun come off of it, how flippin' bad that corner is. It's like just dipped and bowed. Is that corner bend just pulling down so hard? It's just sucking that lid down. And this side looks fine, but obviously the bad keel is pushing that up. So anyway, that was kind of interesting. I just want to know how many people would actually think it would be great to have a boat. You see that? That side rail sucking down the foredeck and the dash. Just a big old dip right there where it's flipping bent. You know that, and it's an inch higher here than it is on that side. The keel's screwed. Side panels aren't bent right. Whole thing's screwed. It's just going in the bushes. And I paid $5 grand for the stinking kit and $3,500 worth of parts to try and make it work. And I guess I'm just out $5 grand. And I thought, well, maybe Wattscraft would be willing to, send the specs to a shop, and I could at least get my parts recut and take them to a legitimate fab shop and have them bent. They're done emailing me, and Wattscraft tried calling. I just don't want to talk to them. I spent 2 trips. I spent, let's see, a total of over 30 hours of driving to get the second boat. So I'm just done. I'm not driving that far to get something that they've bent up, But I'm not putting this boat together because I wanted a good boat. I wanted a decent boat. I wanted to be proud of the build when I was done. I wanted it to look good and be functional. Now I've got a $9,000 jet ski engine and jet, $1,600 intake. And by the way, on the intake, I'm kind of thinking I'd be looking for a different one, just because if you're doing Yamaha, you're just gonna have to raise that thing off the flipping bottom of the boat to get to fit that motor. When you got an 1/8 inch clearance between your oil pan and the bottom of the boat, well, yeah, if you hit a rock real hard, your motor's gonna be on the bottom of the boat. I don't know. That's what they're telling me, is those mounts won't work because they're on the bottom of the boat. I thought, well, aluminum's pretty thick. It'd probably handle it, but they're warning me no. So I'm like, well, doesn't leave me many options because those motor mounts on the sides weren't designed to hold the weight. So if you don't go underneath it, support from the bottom, you have to build your own mounts, your own rubber mounts, hard rubber mounts for the other 4. Well, whatever. I'd just be afraid of a boat like this that someone put together trying to use those 4 mounts. They're just weak and soft, to hold the whole weight of the motor. You have to support that, and I suppose if you could fab up a carriage, but you got to remember you still only have an 1/8 of an inch, and that was raising the intake 3/16 of an inch. So that's just ridiculous. I saw a video of one of Wattscraft's boats, a couple pictures. I assume it's in New Zealand, and their intake's taller. It's just simply taller. This intake is short. You can see how close it is to the bottom of the boat, and I'm sure that's great for the jet being low in the water. It's probably what you want, But with the Yamaha, that's what you're going to deal with. I would have dealt with it. I probably would have had to build a carriage that's not connected to the bottom, but still goes underneath those mount spots and holds that motor an 1/8 inch off the bottom of that boat. And that's after raising that ring. And in reality, if I was doing it again, I'd probably just add another, at least a 1/2 inch to that ring. The The problem is their intake grill is made to be flush with it. So your intake grill would be up in there, and then you'd have this hole in the bottom of your boat that if you went over stuff, the back edge would be catching. So I don't know, I like the idea of the grill being flush with the bottom of the boat, but if you got to raise the intake to get the motor off the bottom of the boat, you know, the grate that that goes into that intake, you won't have your grate down there. So any height you put on that, you gain an edge on the bottom that's going to catch crap as you're traveling over it. So, you know, I suppose I might just raise it up, you know, a full inch, maybe more. You know, it just depends on how far the jet sits in the water. I don't really know. Never built one. Doesn't look like I'm going to be able to. But, you know, if you could at least get a half inch to an inch. An inch would be great. If it sits far enough in the water to bring up your thing an inch, just make your own grate. You just have to engineer it yourself. This setup, it's, you know, that's what you get. In retrospect, I'd probably just raise the stinking thing up. I guess you could buy multiple rings and stack them. You know, maybe try and make their grate part work somehow. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, this isn't the boat I wanted. You know, big old hole dip right there, and an angled down rail sucking in the deck. You know, or an inch higher on one side than the other, with the bent keel and a twisted hull. So, yeah, I mean, if Wattscraft wants to make it right, I still want a boat. You know, they could send the CNC specs to a shop, you know, that they can cut out these parts for me, and I'll take them to an industrial fab shop and I'll have them bent right. You know, and eventually I can have a boat. But I need everything. I need it all the way from the bottom up. I could probably make this hood, you know, reuse it. You know, it's possible when I break all this tacks, that'll pop back up. The big old flipping dip that's in there. But all these bends are screwed. Same with the keel. You need to find someone that has, you know, the equipment to bend that stuff properly at the right angles. And you need to know what the angles are. You know, there's a couple of angles that were, you know, degree numbers that were written on there, but not all of them. So, you know, even if I had the CNC data to have someone cut me out new parts, I need the angle, the bend specs, and the mark, you know, at the marks at which you bend, the length of each panel, you know, the angle of the bends, whatever it may be, you know. You know, now that I've done one, obviously I'm going to check some crap before I put it together, you know. Now that I have a little experience, but if you never built one of these, it's a new experience. You know, when you're pulling things together under pressure, you got to think pretty hard about what's going on. You know, do everything evenly, whatever. But yeah, I just say don't do one unless you're really confident and that you're getting parts that fit. They aren't going to make it a nightmare for you. And you know, I would actually say in general, this isn't a hard fab job. Just to put the hull together, you get the right parts, I'm thinking I'd be happy on my way, no doubt. You know, just don't have them.